Good morning. We have a very special guest today. We're talking about falls. In September, we're already in October. It's hard to believe, but September was Fall Awareness Month. And there are just some really staggering statistics on falls. Every 20 minutes, an older adult will die from a fall-related injury. And when an elderly person falls, the hospital stays are almost twice as long as those of elderly patients with other diagnoses. Our risk of falling increases with age. It's greater for women. And falls are the leading cause of death from injury. So here today is Frank Bowles. He is on the advisory board of one of the large hospitals here in Dallas. We want to welcome him. We're so glad to have you here. And I know that you have you just spoke about, you were on an advisory board, and tell the listeners how you got on this board. You're a contractor, had a contracting business. Tell the story very quickly.
I've been on the advisory board for 4 years. The reason I got invited was because I've given birth to 5 kidney stones. The last one was at Medical City. And didn't mean to say that. Okay. Yeah. But with that, the experience was a long wait due to emergencies coming into the emergency room. And afterwards, I wrote a letter that apparently got their attention. They invited me to come in for an interview. And to my surprise, they had 5 of the major people in the hospital, including a member from their corporate office. We met for over an hour discussing the issue. And when I left, I got a call the following evening from the head nurse of the hospital, and thanking me for the time. She also stated that they had met for over an hour after our meeting discussing it. And she invited me to be on the advisory board for Medical City.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And it's nice to hear that our regular community can have a voice in what's going on. I'll tell you, the old squeaky wheel gets the grease. But I'm, as a business owner, you're only as good as your worst employee. And for us, our product is people and customer service. And the best way to address a problem is to talk about it, fix it. What can we do to make this better? And so that's awesome. I applaud you for doing that and representing me in the community. And, hopefully future people that have these stones or things, nobody wants to be in pain, and it's miserable. And you feel when you're in that situation, you don't care what's going on with everybody else. I don't want to hear when I'm waiting in a hospital, well, there's a long line. I want to know that I'm important and my needs are being met. So anyway, kudos to you for standing up and writing that letter. I'm firm at writing letters when I don't feel I've been treated right, and it's just the way to be better. You learn from your mistakes, So we're talking today. We've got a little clip. You are the inventor of the HTK pad. It's the hip, tailbone, knee pad. You've got a patent going right now.
Correct.
And so we're going to watch a little clip on this this product that Frank has created.
Imagine your loved one, your father, your mother, your aunt, your uncle, that are in perfectly good health, falls. In 1 year, they are taken away from you.
Creator of HTK Pads, Frank Bowles says 300,000 people per year are in the hospital because of hip fractures. and 20% of them only live for one more year.
And hip fractures are a major life-changing event. They're no longer able to get out and about, grocery shopping, to the mall.
He says after years of hearing about bad falls and lawsuits involving hospitals, he decided there's got to be a better way to protect ourselves.
Easy to put on, like so. Put it around the knees.
Not only are they frequent, but they can happen anywhere and can be detrimental to the pocketbook as well.
The hip fracture initially is going to cost roughly $30,000.
But that pricey problem could potentially be bypassed with the help of the HTK pad.
Dissipate and spread that impact. After wearing it for just a few minutes, you really don't even realize you've got it on.
Ole says the pad can easily be used for the hips, tailbone, and knees.
Once they experience especially a hip fracture, they are afraid to get out and experience life again. It can help get people's lives back. And I was talking to a plumber just last week, and we were talking about this pad. And he made the comment after looking at it and discussing it for a few minutes. He said, if my father had been wearing this, we would probably still have him here with us.
For Real News, I'm Cash Payne.
That's incredible. And you know, my dad was in an assisted living and he fell and broke his back. And had he been in something like that, that would have saved his life. You know, it was just a little fracture, but the fracture turned into, it was probably 6 weeks later, he passed away. And it was so preventable with something like this. So talk to me, how did you come up, what made you decide to come up with this product? It's incredible.
Well, Joe, 22 years in construction. Just about every project that we take on, there will be a surprise. Mm-hmm. And being the owner of the company, I'm responsible for coming up with a solution. So over 22 years, I've gotten accustomed to analyzing situations and problems and coming up with a solution. When we were presented this with the board of advisors of the magnitude of falls, mm-hmm. I got to studying it, and I found that there are 60 million people over the age of 65 in the United States alone. 1/3 of those, 20 million people a year, will experience 1 to 3 falls each year. Mm-hmm. 30,000 or 300,000 people will have a hip fracture and be admitted to the hospital. 20% of those, now this is 60,000 people, no matter what their health was prior to this fracture, will lose their lives within a year, sometimes within days.
And so what is the reason for that, usually with when they pass after a surgery like that?
It can be multiple problems, but some can be internal bleeding, infections. Mm-hmm. But there are a dozen different reasons, but they are related to the hip fracture itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow.
And it's surprising, it's shocking. You know, we were on the news this morning, they were talking about 13 deaths due to vaping. And that is a horrible statistic. We are losing our children. We're losing adults due to vaping in 13. And then you look at 60,000 due to hip fractures. It is absolutely staggering. And these are our mothers, our fathers, our brothers, our sisters, our loved ones that has meant something in our lives that are affected to this.
Well, and this is my clientele that I work with. And, you know, I tell them, you know, if they don't like to use their walker, I don't like canes. I think they have to give people a false sense of security. But I'll just say, you know, nobody plans to fall. It's not like, you know what, I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to fall and go to the hospital and have surgery. Nobody plans to fall. I've had patients that have been rollerblading in their 30s and fallen and broken a shoulder. Or we had a patient a few weeks ago that tripped on a curb, young guy, young doctor, and broke a shoulder. So, you know, falls happen. And if we know the statistics are great, why not implement a product like this? It's just incredible. So I want you to show, if you can show the viewers how easy it is to put it on. We talked about it weighs about 4 pounds. And can you show us how you put it on?
I would be glad to.
Okay.
I'm going to slip my coat on.
Okay. And we're just going to talk about that. I tried it on. It's very comfortable, actually. Weighs about 4 pounds. So how long did it take you to make the product?
This has been 2.5 years in the making.
Wow.
Lots of study, lots of mistakes. And kind of funny, when I first came up with the idea, it started as just an idea. I did a drawing. I found my fiance's workout mat and cut my first prototype out. I didn't think that through. But we, over the years, we have graduated to this more sophisticated.
This is great. So it not only protects the hip, it protects the knees, it protects the tailbone.
Correct.
And those are the areas that are so much more likely to break a bone.
Correct.
And so have you had anybody sampling the product? Have you had any test market with your product?
Yes, we've got one that is a 97-year-old lady that has experienced several falls. She's broken several bones. Fortunately, she did not break a hip yet. Mm-hmm. But she has been wearing the pad for approximately 3 weeks. And according to my friend, she will not take it off other than to go to the bathroom and to go to bed.
Wow, that's amazing. And so she feels a security with it.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. So can we see this testimonial? We've got a sweet little testimonial you'll share.
Imagine your loved one, your father.
Nini has had several falls over the years. She's broken her shoulder, clavicle, vertebra. Even though she's pretty mobile, she is a fall risk. Knowing that she's protected from the major breaks is a big comfort for us.
I feel more secure. And if I fall, I don't have fractures, knees and hips.
But she's putting it on every day by herself. And if anything, we've had to restrain her a little bit because she got a little cocky about moving around, because it does make her feel so much safer.
Easier to stand up than before. And then I walk around the house. I have no fear because if I fall, I don't get fractures.
She moves differently and she walks more assuredly, which is the same way her physical therapist had been working on her.
Like doing my lunch, I think it's free. I feel more, I can do it.
This is a good product for anybody that is any type of fall risk for any type of reason. Having this allows people to start being a little bit more active, maintaining their exercise level, and keeps the undertone muscles in there, I think psychologically, them not falling. Just knowing that she's got that extra padding and that extra layer of cushion to protect her is a peace of mind for the family members in addition to the person that wears it. I think it's a huge asset.
That's amazing. I'm so proud of you for doing that. That's just awesome. And there's so many, as our population ages, with 10,000 people turning 65 every day, it's inventions like this that will keep people independent and able to enjoy their life and enjoy outings and not be just stuck at home, afraid to fall, afraid to trip. Well, just want to talk about some just things I looked at on, just because you've got this piece of equipment to help you prevent you from falling, some other things you can do to prevent falling and stay healthy as strong as we age. And the number one thing was exercise therapy. That you're never too old to stop exercising. What are your thoughts on that?
A couple of things, Joe. One, where we should be most safe, our home. Mm-hmm. Our home is the number one location for falls and hip fractures. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Two, as we age and our muscles get a little more frail and feeble, we are more prone to falls. Mm-hmm. With that, you have several things that can really make a difference. When you're wearing the pad, it gives them a little more faith and confidence. Mm-hmm. The physical movement will help keep those muscles in shape and help strengthen them. It will also, as you strengthen those muscles, it helps you with your equilibrium.
Mm-hmm. And balance.
You know, surprisingly, dancers rarely fall. Mm-hmm. And it's because they've developed the muscles throughout their body, and it helps them to keep that core value and to help them be more stable.
Mm-hmm. It just keeps them more poised
exactly.
too. Well, and some other things, you know, we do when we go do an assessment in a home, we always look at the rugs. People trip on their own rugs. The bathroom people will trip, or they don't have a rug down, the proper rug down, and they wind up tripping, getting out of the bathtub. But some things that people do need to, other than exercise, make sure they have an annual vision exam, because sometimes your vision changes due to a cataract, just aging, and it's something simple like they just need a new pair of glasses. Then environmental conditions, like you talked about in the home, where just make sure it's safe in the home.
So many homes have different elevations. Mm-hmm. And if you have a sunken living room, even if it's just a few inches, try to highlight that so it is more visual. Put a piece of tape, a bright blue or white, so that it calls your attention to be drawn to that. Also, a major factor in falls is osteoporosis. Mm-hmm. A lot of falls are caused by the bone breaking, causing the fall. Now, no pad is going to prevent that fall, but what it can do is help to prevent additional damage. So it is incredibly important to visit your doctor, have your bones tested when you get into that older age, because there are so many people, especially ladies, they are much more affected. Now, men are not immune. Mm-hmm. They do fall and have osteoporosis, but the ladies are more so.
Mm-hmm. Good. And then what about, you know, one thing too I read is medications. A lot of times our seniors see specialists. They may see 3 or 4 different specialists. One is their internist, one is their cardiologist, one is their kidney doctor. And I've had patients that have been on 2 and 3 diuretics, or they've been on 2 different antidepressants because one didn't know the other had prescribed. And so, you know, they've had fallens or passed out, or, you know, worse, just, you know, just not feeling good and having to go to the emergency room. But just making sure your doctors, you know, what I always say, when you go to the doctor and see your physician, bring your list of medications. Always be ready to share. Yes, I see this cardiologist. I see this bone specialist here. And really communicate with your physician on what you're taking. You know, that's another good way to prevent falls or unnecessary illness or injuries.
And to the man out there that has to be literally driven to a doctor because they don't want to show that they are weak in any way. Guys, don't be overconfident, because you can fall and you can injure yourself. There's one situation in a hospital where they told this gentleman, do not get up. You have just received a major operation. You are not capable of walking on your own. If you need to get up, call us. We will be right here. They walked off. He got up, took 4 steps, falls, and breaks a hip. And this is more so with men because of that. We're not going to ask for help.
I know.
But this affects men extremely, just like ladies.
Well, and it's just pride, too. I know even with my own grandmother, she was 94, and until she finally agreed to use a walker. And we'd been bugging her for years. And she was falling. She was hiding them from us. We saw she had bruises all over her body just from falling and being too prideful to tell us. But just using that walker, you know, it's okay to use a walker. It's not, you know, it's not the end of the world. If anything, it's going to keep you independent, just to have that little help. So swallow that pride. But we're going to look into how can we get more information. I know your website is almost ready, but how can we get a little information? If somebody had a question for you, this is an amazing product. I cannot wait to see the success of the future of this pad. It's going to be amazing for our patients and other patients as well. So how can we get in touch with you, Frank?
Again, my name is Frank Bowles. My phone number is 469-954-6000.
Great. Thank you. And I want you to, when you do have your website up and running, I'm going to post that to our viewers on our Acappella podcast page and the Acapellas for Seniors page. And just so give some information, and I can pass information along too. Do you have an email address you could share?
It's not live yet.
Okay.
It should be live next week.
Okay. Well, we'll have that and get that.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And I just wish you the most success with this product. It's just about keeping seniors safe and preventing falls. And what an awesome product to be able to prevent falls. Thank you for what you're doing. And thank you for representing the community like you do on your advisory board. So we appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Yeah.
I appreciate the time.
Good. You did a great job.